She's a serial tech entrepreneur and the go-to voice for the co-founder relationship, and one of her ventures hit unicorn $1 billion status. And Tanis Jorge's faith guides how she leads every step of the way. That's coming up.
You are seen, you are heard, you are loved by God. You're not alone, you're fully known, you are loved by God.
Tanis Jorge, it is so great to be with you here in beautiful Vancouver.
I know, it's nice today. It's
I
great.
know. It's so nice for me to get out of the studio once in a while, hang out with new people in a great city like Vancouver. So thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me hang out with you today.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, so before we get into who you are and all the things, here are some fun questions just so that our audience gets to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
So this is going to be, they're bigger questions, but you got to be a little quick on the answer.
Okay.
We'll see how it works. Ready? Speed round, but we'll see.
Okay.
Number one, Tanis.
Yes.
Greatest career accomplishment.
Having built 4 companies.
Okay, that's right.
Multiple.
Okay,
successfully.
yes, no, okay,
That's
no, that's good.
That's good, yeah.
Number 2, greatest parent accomplishment.
Just that I get compliments that I got great kids. I love that.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Okay, that's really good. And number 3, greatest personal accomplishment.
Well, we're going to talk about it, but
I know.
I wrote a book. That was a big one for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
that you did really well.
Thank you.
That was really good.
Off the cuff.
Yeah, off the cuff. That's why I didn't even want to say this before the show. I wanted to hear this. Okay.
Awesome.
So in my intro, to kind of tease people to listen to our conversation, I mentioned about you're a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
You are the go-to voice for co-founder relationships.
Yes.
And you had a venture that hit unicorn status, over $1 billion. So we need to talk about that, because I think that's like, people are like, whoa, we can learn a lot from you. So let's talk in relation to, though, for the next generation. Like, let's talk about business and how you got into it and why.
Yeah.
And why do you think that you are and have been successful in that space?
Well, I grew up with entrepreneurial parents.
Okay.
My dad he used to be a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman. Okay. And so he always imparted a lot of like sales stuff with me as I was growing up. And I think the mentality in my mind was, life is a numbers game. And he always said, just go out and do whatever you want to do and just fight for it and make it happen.
Okay.
And so I think for me, that was something that was always in the back of my mind. And I always believed that. I believed that if I worked hard and if I just set my mind to something, I could actually make it work. And so, I've been fortunate to be able to have found myself in environments that worked for me.
Wow. So parents really were really key in instilling that in you.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So for parents who are listening, who are like, we want our daughter to be like Tanis, what would you say really helped in that? I mean, there is the part of modeling and living a life that really shows that kind of priority and focus. But what else would you say?
I think, the encouragement was important, but obviously just having that ability to, I always had my parents to fall back on. They were always there to support me. I could always come to them with my concerns, and I think that was a really, really important part. When you know that you've got someone with your, who has your back and is sitting there going, you can do it, we believe in you. And when we try and model that with our boys, and just the same sort of scenario, you can do it, but whatever you do, we're here to support you, and let them open their arms, let them spread their wings and fly, and let them try different things. My parents always let me try everything that I wanted to do.
I think that's key.
Super important.
Really important.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading a blog of yours online. It was really interesting because you don't really like this idea of being called like a woman entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur.
That's right.
You just happen to be a woman. You could happen to be a man, whatever it is, right?
Yes.
So I think that's really fascinating, because I know there's a lot of women who are nervous to become an entrepreneur, because there's a lot of things that, I don't speak personally for me, that hold me back. Imposter syndrome, fear, perfectionism, can't do it, don't have the skills.
Yes.
You've done it. So clearly you've been able to kind of push through a lot of those those obstacles that we put on ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I guess I got to go back to my dad again, where this belief that I can do anything. So I never felt those differences about who I was. I just charged ahead, and I never considered any restraints. My dad never said, oh, you can achieve anything except for the fact that you're a woman, so you're going to reach these issues. That never was like the backdrop of any narrative. So for me, it was just going forward and doing it. And part of my concern a little bit is that I have spoken with young women who are like, oh, I really want to get into business. I want to raise money. I want to go venture capital. I want to do all these things, but I'm afraid of you know, the what's out there, the big bad man world, you know, and I want to always encourage them and say, I think if you go in with that perspective, you might receive that back. But I think, you know, no smart business person is going to turn down funding a brilliant business idea with a person at the helm who wants to work hard. So I just say, stand by what you believe in, stand by your product, stand by your service, go in and don't worry about that whole, you know, male side of things. Like, just go in and do the best that you have. And I'm very optimistic that that will never be an issue.
Your big thing, and I love what you just said, your big thing is co-founders.
Yes.
Like, you are very big. I'm reading all your things, and it's like you have to make sure that you have a good co-founder for business.
Yes, absolutely. So the stat is that 65% of businesses fail due to issues with the founding partnership.
Wow,
which is
that's big.
Crazy. And most people don't realize that. And so what happens if the co-founder partnership falls apart? The entire business is in jeopardy because those people are at the helm. I've heard countless stories of founders where, oh yeah, they're not talking. They're speaking through their office manager. You know, all these things. How can you have a vision together if you're not on the same page? And so I've come to realize that it's so essential to have that co-founder partnership be strong. Otherwise, you literally put everything in jeopardy.
Right. And because of all your experience, this is with your greatest personal accomplishment, your book.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So everything that I learned, so I built all 4 companies with the same co-founder. He and I were best friends in high school, and we started all of our businesses together. And so people would ask me to advise them. How have you managed to stay friends and not kill each other?
And because I always hear that do not mix like friendship and business together.
Totally.
It could end up in a disaster.
Absolutely. So I had insights from our partnership, but I interviewed tons of other founders in other industries as well and got their insights, what worked for them. And I realized there was really like a vacuum of tools out there for people to really understand that importance and how do I make it stronger? How do I communicate better? So that's where the book came, Co-Founders Handbook.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a huge personal
I'm
accomplishment.
excited. Yeah.
Way to go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So on that, I want to talk a little bit about your own faith and business. I have a lot of young women and a lot of girlfriends that are in that space, and it's not so easy.
No,
a lot of the times to try to be in a competitive, cutthroat space in a lot of different businesses, in media, and still maintain, your faith in Jesus that is integral with character.
Yes.
So talk to me about that, because I think that is a big need and conversation for us to really be real and honest about that.
So the way I've sort of taken on this journey is, as a founder, as a leader, as a boss, I really believe that we have an obligation to be an ambassador for Christ. And I think what that looks like is how you carry yourself, what you say, what you do, how you engage in the world around you speaks so many more volumes than me sitting in a room with my team and saying, hey, we're going to do prayer before every meeting. I really believe that it's essential that we stand as that ambassador. And so in business, for me, I always say, I'll do me. So I'll talk about what my faith brings to my life. I don't impart it on other people. I don't require it. We've never really pushed it, but I really believe that that how my team sees how I build my company, some of the principles, the mission, the value system as a corporation, taking those, I think speaks so many more volumes. And so as they hear, oh, Tanis is a Christian, I don't want them to go, oh,
That's I honestly, it's one of my biggest fears when I go into a place, I'm like Christian, then I'm like,
Totally.
I'm just waiting for how people are gonna like cringe.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't want that.
I don't want that. And so to me, I want when they discover or when they hear me speak, oh, me and my family went to church on Sunday, I want them to go, oh, that's why she's different.
Yes.
And I think that speaks so much more volumes than trying to push something in a work environment. That's for me, that's my journey.
No,
that's
but you know what, Tanis, like you've hit on a really important point. I think that's really how we are to live.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, when they talk about like in the scriptures of being salt and light, you just light.
Totally.
Light up a room and people are like, whoa, where is that coming from? What is that?
Yes.
Salt. It's flavoring things
Right.
that need salt.
Absolutely.
I love salt.
Yes.
I love a little sugar. But what I'm saying is like, you know, it brings out the flavor
That's right.
of the essence of what that meat or food is supposed to be.
Totally.
I want to sit on that for just a second because I think that's really important, and I think we need to remind people about presence. You know, like how, and what you just said, when you go somewhere, just your presence, your light, the salt is what
Totally.
attracts people to Jesus.
Absolutely. And I think your character and your reputation will always follow as well. And I think as I've gotten older, I've come to realize that who I've been as my younger self is actually, you know, coming up as I get older. You know, people, oh yeah, I met her, and oh yeah, she was, you know, she had good values, or oh, I really liked how she conducted herself. She had a good work ethic. These kind of things. So that's another part of it as well, is really understanding from even a younger age, you're sowing this reputation that follows you through your whole life. And I really believe that the values of the Christian values, it is a positive. It's a positive set of values that will guide you, and people will see that, and you'll leave a really great trail behind you in that way.
I want to ask this. I know it's a little bit personal, but I think it's important because your venture hit unicorn status, and it's like being a Christian and being wealthy. How do you marry the two? I know it's a big question, but I think it's an important one because I mean, wealth is in all different ways. I mean, wealth being in North America versus being in a third world country is vast, but like, how do you navigate through that in a really good, healthy way?
You know, I'm still working through
it. I believe it.
It's a thing, and I found it's interesting how others relate to you differently. It's like I'm still. You know, still me. So there's that component of it. There's a heavy weight that I found once, you know, we had successes, and that I felt like this weight of responsibility, you know, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so I feel that weight and the responsibility as a steward of what I have, and to really be able to use it for a greater good. And I'm working through it still, and it's still navigating. But I'm passionate about entrepreneurship. I think it is the foundation of a strong economy, you know, capital free enterprise. And I think that unfortunately we're kind of vilifying people when they hit success, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're lucky, or all of a sudden you're greedy and you've gone on the backs of other people. But I really think that if we can rise everybody up, it's so important. And I think, you know, wealth, it depends whose hands it's in.
Right.
And, you know, I can only be responsible for what I do with it in my hands. But yeah, it is a tricky thing to navigate.
But I think that you're doing it well.
Thank you.
You know, and I think that the honest answer, Tanis, that you share, it's like, you know, for all of us, like whatever level, but whether it's financial or whether it's resource or whether it's a platform like I have, how do we steward it well?
So important.
How are we using what is in our hands to say, okay, how am I going to bring good and truth and light and love to the world?
Totally.
No matter what. And I think this is a good conversation to have, because sometimes people feel it's money that's going to have the power and change things. It's like, no, actually what you have, where you're at, actually can change.
Absolutely. 100.
Can change the world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. I know that I could just keep rolling, but we need to take a break.
Awesome.
When we come back, Tanis and I are going to chat about how she prioritizes and juggles career, motherhood, friendship, wife, and also gives you some tips, you young leaders, on how to become a great leader and how you can be successful in your career. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Season 8 is all about getting to know you, the See Hear Love community. Here are 4 ways to connect. Number 1, watch See Hear Love anytime and anywhere on YouTube and Castle Media. Number 2, listen to the See Hear Love podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Number 3, engage by visiting seehearlove.com, or my personal favorite, follow at See Hear Love on Instagram. Finally, number 4, give to See Hear Love in Crossroads by visiting seehearlove.com/give.
I wasn't always a TV host and executive producer, and I didn't always have a platform for my voice. And if it weren't for courageous leaders who mentored me, who took a chance on me, who gave me opportunities to lead, who allowed my voice to be heard, who believed in the gifts and passion God has given me, if it weren't for them, not only would See Hear Love not exist today, but neither would the thousands of diverse voices worldwide who, thanks to your support, are choosing lives of justice, love, kindness, inclusion, and courage. And this is only made possible by viewers, listeners, and supporters like you, leaders like you. There is no limit to the millennials and so many others we can reach with God's transformative love and the truth that they are seen, heard, and deeply loved by God. Our community needs you. We need your leadership, your wisdom, your perspective, your voice. We need you. Donate today. Visit seehearlove.com/give. All right, we're back with Tanis Jorge. This is so fun.
It is fun. I'm
This is
enjoying
fun.
it.
You might need to be my co-host
Oh, okay.
for some next
Done.
shows. Okay. So we talked about business. We talked about your faith in business, and now I want to talk about how you do it all. Because if you can answer that, then
Right.
we are going
We're
to be
done.
like,
The show's
yeah,
over.
it's
We're done.
over. Yeah, we got it. We got it. So really, I don't say balance anymore because I don't think balance is the right word. I think it's prioritizing. I do use the word juggle because I do think visually it's juggling, but how have you and how are you juggling? Mom, wife, career, friendship, your own like faith and community. What are your tips?
Yeah.
Help us, Tanis, help us.
I wish I could. I wish I could. You know what, honestly, so when I started my last business, I had 2 kids under 2 years old. And the intention was for me not to build a business. I was going to focus on family. I'd built 3 companies over 10 years. And I was like, now I'm going to be a mom. This is what I want to do. But there was other plans. So I started this company, and I was literally juggling family and COO of an up and coming startup. And it was really, I'm going to say at the end, I realized I couldn't do both. And that was my journey. I couldn't do both. I felt I'm an all-in kind of person, and I'm very intentional when I do stuff. And I just found I couldn't be that mom that I wanted to be, and I couldn't be that COO that I wanted to be. And it was a real struggle. And so fortunately, my co-founder, he understood this, and it took about 4 or 5 years before we could finally find someone who could take over my role. And I was able to exit because I felt in the end for me, future me, I always talk about future me, what is she gonna want? And I knew that future me was gonna wanna be able to have that experience as a mother. And so for me, I wasn't able to do both, not to the level of excellence that I set for myself. So I stepped away. But again, it's everything. It's learning to delegate. It's learning to be intentional with your time and being serious about it, and understanding your own value and how much your health, mental health, physical health, if it's down, everybody around you gets affected, right?
Yeah.
So I really wanted it to be that what I try to do is be intentional, give myself a little bit of grace, because I'm a woman who has dreams and passions and things that I'm excited about. And I know that I still have to carry that responsibility of being a mother to my kids. And so I put that first, but I do allow myself to still be Tanis. I'm not just mother, I'm not just wife, I give myself that grace and benefit to be able to just be, still chase my passions as well.
I think that's fantastic. I think the honesty about I can't do both is really good to hear.
Good.
Because I think a lot of women try to do it all, and then we don't do it all well. And then we feel guilty.
Yes.
And then we regret. And then, and then it's a cycle. It's but I think that is so refreshing, Tanis, to hear that it's like, you looked at it and you assessed it and you were like, you know what, I can't do it both. I can't do both.
Yeah.
So I'm going to choose one.
Yeah.
And that's big. I mean, choosing family over a very successful career. I bet. I bet it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Especially as the company really began to grow and take off as well. And I was like, oh, I could really have been part of that rocket ship.
But that's life. I think that's life about choices we make and sacrifices that we make. And either way, some people have decided career over family, and that's taken them on a different direction.
Totally.
But talk to me through that, how prayer or your faith helped and is really integrated into that. Because sometimes I get people saying, do I make decisions separately and then my faith kind of informs on these parts? Or how do you really integrate a really honest, true faith into life decisions?
Yeah, that was the key thing. So when I knew that I was going to be stepping out of the business, I had to, I took one entire year that I knew this date was coming. And I took a year, it was on my commute home every time. And I started to just say, what is my new identity? Here I've been the COO of a rocket ship tech company. Who am I now when I'm out of that? And I had to kind of break down how I would define myself. And I always kind of prided myself on being able to not identify as a role, but it was there. And at the end of it, I was able to come away and say, you know what, in the end, I am a child of God. I am the daughter of God. And I am, when everything else is gone, that is the most important thing to me. And being able to just sort of sit in that, and I don't need the applause of the crowd. And I also can be okay if for whatever reason the crowd turns on me. I can be that too, because in the end, my relationship with God and Jesus is in the end the only thing left. And so that new identity allowed me to pluck myself out of this space and be comfortable and be, okay, this is me. I'm a mom. I'm home. I'm doing this life now, and not feel that real hard pull of like, oh, what have I left behind? It's like, it's okay. I'm doing this, but most importantly, it's him and me.
Speaking of him, what do you love most about your relationship with God or his character? What would you say?
For me, the rest that comes in him and knowing him when everything around us is falling apart, to just be able to know that in the end he has us in the palm of his hand. And I can just rest in that. I don't have to. I'm kind of one of those people who takes the reins. And when I let myself remember this, I can go, oh, you know what, God, you deal with this. You deal with the pandemic. You deal with all these different situations. I can't. I'm out. And the peace that comes from that, and that ability, and I think that's probably like high functioning women and people who are really like kind of out there really doing that ability to just go, oh wait, I don't have to be in control all the time. And just knowing he's a strong father.
Isn't that a relief?
Oh,
like I visually am like, okay, I visually take a lot of like the stuff and actually visually like hand it over.
Yeah, and that is life-giving.
Yeah.
Life-giving.
It is. I really love that, because I think for me, I'm very high output, lots of, like I can just do a lot of things.
Totally.
But I get exhausted, and I think the rest part is really key. Like the whole idea of like, the famous, Psalm 23 and the Good Shepherd. There's so much about leading by still waters, resting in green pastures. I'm like, I'm all about that. Yeah. That sounds great.
I know. I'm in.
I'm in.
Sign up?
Yeah. Thank you, Good Shepherd. Thank you, Good Shepherd. Like it's kind of that vibe.
Yes.
So I get that, because I think there is a part of like working hard and achieving and doing what I believe God has called me to do. Same. Yeah. But there is that part of like, man, we need to rest.
Totally.
So I really like that. In that, there's a lot of wisdom that you have, that you hold. And, See Here Love has always been about helping the next generation. Like, how do we help and resource the next generation in all ways, in faith and business and relationships and marriage and dating, whatever it is. Yeah. What would you say to a young person who is starting up in their career? Millennials and Gen Z are all about entrepreneurship.
Totally, yes.
But what would you say, because I think this is big, are I'm going to say three habits or traits that the next generation need to cultivate to be a good leader? Because it's not about, all right, buy the bots and get your Instagram filled with people and all of that. Like, aside, all of that. I'm saying character and traits that you would say need to be cultivated.
Yeah. So off the top right now, it would be, work ethic. It's not easy. I get the comment, oh, you're so lucky. But the sacrifices.
Yes.
I mean, every company that I started, wasn't able to pay myself for at least 2-3 years. And so I think people have to understand that if you have high aspirations, there's a lot of work that has to go in. There's a lot of sacrifice. It's not easy. Instagram, social makes it look super
right.
like, oh, I can get just, download this ebook and you'll find out how to succeed. And it's not like that. It's plugging away. It's tears. It's like curling up going, do I have enough runway to pay my employees? And there's all this anxiety. So it's like, be ready for the fight.
Right.
And be ready for that. So that work ethic becomes essential. And if you put yourself in that mind frame, I think that really helps.
Okay, so work ethic.
So work ethic is important. I always tell people as well, enjoy the journey.
Yes.
Have fun.
I'm about that too.
You're trading your life for this time and these dollars. So in that moment, take the time to have fun, get to know your team, like enjoy it, like, because you're going to look back and you're going to go, oh, that was a journey, but you want to be able to look back with fondness. So I always tell people to have fun.
So have fun, okay?
Have fun.
And number 3.
And then number 3, I would say is sit at the feet of a mentor. Yes. Find somebody who's living the life that you want, or living in the industry that you want, and really sit down with them and sit at their feet humbly and say, look, what I know, guide me, show me what to do. And I would also tell people, like, respect that person's time, and they will give you even more. So just be sure when you sit and you find somebody, honor the time that they're giving to you, but really find that mentor in various different ways. We had mentors when we were 17 years old, dating, my husband and I. We had marriage mentors even then, people that we sat down with and talked to. So in all aspects of your life, find that mentor who has what you have and sit at their feet.
Amazing. So 3 things: work ethic, have fun, and get a mentor.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Tanis Jorge, this was so great. I want to just close with a quick verse for you. I feel like we don't do this enough, kind of like do a blessing or a prayer. And this one came to me, and it's from the version of the Bible in the Voice from Proverbs 16:3. Because I feel this is what you're doing, but I just wanted to affirm to you as well. Whatever you do it as service to God, and He will guarantee your success.
Beautiful.
And I as I'm reading through these scriptures, like, okay, what's the verse? It's whatever you do, Tanis, do it to God, which I believe you are and you have, but I think it's just another reminder that in all that you do, no matter the next business, the next relationships of friends, whatever it is, and He will guarantee your success, and success in whatever He believes is success.
Absolutely.
It could be the success of friendships. It could be the success of your kids saying, being amazing and people saying more about your kids, but He will guarantee your success, which is His definition of success. So I just wanted you to be reminded of that, to keep going. We're cheering you on, really proud of you and all that you've accomplished, but also not just what you've accomplished, but the woman that you are and becoming.
Oh, lovely.
I think that's even more. So thank you so much for this time together. Any last thoughts? How did you do? How did you feel?
That felt great.
Okay, good.
That was fun. Let's
right.
do it again.
Okay, we'll do it again. And to you, our viewers and listeners, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that our conversation, the Tanis and I, inspired you and encouraged you as we looked at work ethic, have fun, get a mentor, and know that you can rest in God. When things are crazy, when you're working hard and building your business and you're launching as an entrepreneur, God is there for you to rest, for you to know that He is with you in good and bad times. And so we just wanted to remind you of that. And as you do, and I always love to close the show with this, as you go about all your life and things, know that you are seen, heard, and deeply loved by God. Bye-bye from Vancouver.
See Hear Love thanks our partners who make this show possible.
Thank you for your ongoing support of Crossroads, a supporter-funded nonprofit organization and member of the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities. Thanks to faithful people like you, we are able to continue producing See Hear Love. You can write to Crossroads, P.O. Box 5100, Burlington, Ontario, L7R 4M2, or visit crossroads.ca to learn more about our programs.